I think we're good to go, right, Garima?
Yes, we are live now.
Sure. Uh, Firstly, thank you so much to BLL, Garima, the team for giving this opportunity. And really glad to kind of share my 2 cents about what do you need to do in order to protect your family wealth. And very specifically, like 5 different documents or 5 different things that every promoter or entrepreneur should know about. And all of this, right, this is
I
not
request you
based.
all to keep your system on mute, please.
Oh, everybody's on mute.
Everybody's on mute, I think so. Yeah. So this is something where we started not just because as a product venture, but out of a deep, after an almost deep personal tragedy, where uh, we are friends before everything else, right? Me and my co-founders, Vignesh and Rajesh, we are friends since the sixth grade. We went to the same college, and we have been solving complex problems through technology for the last 15 years. This current venture is our fourth successful venture together. We have had three prior exits, one with BMW, one in the native advertising place, and the last venture was slightly longer, where we were working with Quest Corp, building all their digital backbone. Quest is India's largest staffing company. Quest has close to 650,000 people, and we built their entire digital backbone, right from employee onboarding to employee lifecycle management to compliance to everything like that. And Quest is a public limited company. So everything was going on really well till Rajesh and Vignesh, they were coming back from a meeting. They met with an accident. Thank God nothing happened to them. But if something would have happened, their families wouldn't have known where to begin. So that is when it struck us that even after three exits, we did not know. We did not tell our families about this. We did not know what was happening. If something, what would have happened if something might have happened at that point in time, right? So that is what put us actually in this path where we started asking these questions like, can our family actually run our financial life without us? Okay. In fact, like I would request all of us to ask this question: can your family actually run your financial life without you? Starting from the personal guarantees, does your spouse know every lender limit and expiry? Could your family list every bank account, deposit, and investment portfolio tomorrow? Are nominations current across all bank deposits, mutual fund, EPF, insurance? Whereas we'll come to that topic when I come over there, where nomination versus heirs. Um, and very important thing, right? As promoters and as entrepreneurs, where we are raising funds, we are getting in new people into the board. The articles of association, there is something called as a transmission clause. We did not even know about that. Where if it is not structured properly, then all our hard work, the families wouldn't even know where to begin with. They wouldn't even have a map to begin with. So that is something that we'll cover today. And number five is that if in case of an emergency, could your family find every policy, loan, and record within 24 hours? So these are the 5 different things, 5 different documents in which we'll be covering pretty crisply, and we'll give some examples. I'll give some examples, real life examples on why we did this, what led to this path, and all of the stuff like that, right? The main thing today is that, right, if any of the answer to this is no, uh, I will put my hand up and say that when I started, like most of this 5 out of 5 would have been no. Okay, when we started, the risk is that the wealth is not because of a market risk or somebody is going to scam us or swindle our wealth or stuff like that, right? In India, close to 3.5 lakh crore worth of assets are lying unclaimed in the Indian financial system, as per a Supreme Court petition, right? 70,000 crores in bank deposits, 20,000 crores in 20,000 crores in insurance, unclaimed insurance funds, right? All of this is because somebody had a map, but they did not share a map, or somebody did not even prepare that map itself for their family, and it was all living in one person's head, and something happened to that person, some mishap, and all of it has been lost. It is lying unclaimed. The government is going above and beyond to get it to the people, to the rightful owners. But that is more like an after effect. Like now they are treating the cure. They are like giving the cure. But what we'll be covering today is prevention. Prevention is always better than cure, where you do not even fall into that trap. And especially for promoters, for business owners, for entrepreneurs, it becomes complex, right? Because this family and business life, it kind of intermingles at times. So, so we'll cover from there. Okay. And the reason why we actually are covering these five different documents is because not just because we thought that it is like that, but we spoke to more than like 600 plus friends and family, and all of them predominantly felt that like 61% of them felt that their wealth information is scattered. 85% they do not even have a complete wealth picture. And most importantly, 94% of them felt that their family is not ready because not because they did not have sufficient health insurance coverage or sufficient life insurance coverage or whatnot, because of the data disorganization. They felt that they do not have a grasp of that data. It's obsolete. Either they would have kept an Excel sheet that would not have been updated, and multiple different stuff like that, right? So this is based on our research. This is what we spoke to 600 plus Indian families, and this is what we felt. What we realized that 94% of them are actually unprepared. And the first one, right, where the I would love to see a show of hands that how many of us has personally kind of signed guarantee, a personal guarantee in the last 5 years. I have definitely done it a couple of times. So, and have we shared it with our wife or somebody else in the family? Mostly not, right? Maybe it's a business thing you would not have shared or whatnot, right? So the crux is your family cannot see the balance sheet you carry in your head. Okay, nobody else can. Just imagine, right? You even your passwords or something like that, people will take quite a amount of effort if the proper legacy planning and everything is not done right. Even technology stuff can take so long. Imagine about the financial stuff, right? From your exposure to the impact that they have or whatnot, right? So, right from company records to promoter equity, director loans, current accounts to multiple different stuff like that, every single exposure has a particular family impact. And as per the Contract Act, Section 128 clearly states that surety liability is coextensive with the borrower. And Section 131 clearly states that death revokes a continuing guarantee only for future transactions, but not for the previous one that are owned. So just imagine, right? If we have given something, we are liable to something, we have kind of given a guarantee to something, and that will actually affect the family. It will actually affect the estate that the person was personally guaranteed. So I'm not a lawyer. But this is something that I've realized the very hard way after that particular near-death accident. Something that we realized, and that is when we realized key our 10 years worth of effort would have been like lost if something would have happened, and multiple different things that we have done would have definitely affected our family. So this week, the first activity, right? What I would request is that list every guarantee, lender, limit, expiry. Take a paper, pen, or put it in an Excel sheet, or use our app or whatnot, right? Show one family member where the list lives. Okay, just list every guarantee, lender, limit, expiry. Show one family member where the list lives. That is number one. Number two is that we all know key as per this December 2023 Supreme Court verdict, where Shakti Yasdani versus Jayanand Jain Salgaonkar, succession law actually supersedes nomination. Valid will supersedes a nomination. The nominee holds in a fiduciary capacity. The only exception is insurance, which is very clear, where Insurance Act Section 39 amended it in 2015, like beneficial nominees like a spouse or something can receive it. But everything other than that, you're given that instruction to your uh, the financial organization, right? And they will just wash their hands. Okay, they'll just give it to the nominee. That's about it. They don't care about the legal hire. So every nominee receives the asset, a legal heir owns it. They are not automatically the same. That is something that we realize a very hard way. There are many of you in the group would have already been structured like that, but many of us, like 94% of us, are predominantly kind of very unstructured. So the family impact is brutal, right, when it comes to this across multiple different things. So this week, the one activity that I would request in this particular thing is pull the nomination status, number one nomination status across every account, every investment, and stuff like that. Check if the nominees are correct. Check if the nominees are also the legal heirs or someone that you would want to give, right? And predominantly whether your will is updated like that. And creating a will starts anywhere from maybe like I think so maybe a couple of $1,000 to it goes all the way up to $7,500 or even more, right? There are multiple different mechanisms that are available out there. So if you do not have a will, please do that. It's not even complex, where you take a sheet of paper, write it very simple, simply write it in a sheet of paper. Actually, according to Indian law, I think so you do not even have to notarize it or legalize it, right? So that is all there. That is for your lawyers. But as a practice discipline mechanism, this is what we have followed after that particular incident, where we keep the nomination status active, we keep the will, a living will that is there, that can come into action. Number two. Number three is that I would love to kind of get a show of hands where how many us has have actually read the transmission clause in our articles of association. We are starting a company, we hand it over to a CA or a person who's like creating that company, the articles of association, AOA, MOA, and all of the stuff like that. After that particular accident, when we were like really curious on what would have happened if something untoward or some like mishap would have happened on that day, right? Um, when we are raising funds, when we are getting investors on board, when we are getting people on the board, we are leaving a few board seats and we are getting more people on the board at one point in time. Like for us, what happened is that we started with Quest as a collaboration. We became an associate company, then we became a subsidiary, and so on and so forth in the 9 to 10 years, right? In that particular period, Quest was gaining a lot of board seats. Okay. And we were like, finally, we were like two board seats left or one board seat left. The rest was, the majority was Quest. So at that point in time, just imagine, right? You have put all the hard work and effort, and this particular transmission clause, okay, that actually determines on how your family is going to get it. The board has to approve. Okay. So that was like a shocker for us. Ki, if something would have happened, then the families would have had to be at the whim and fancy of the board, right? They would have to follow the board. The board can delay, decline, whatever that they want, right? They can do. Okay. I'm not saying that they will definitely do that, but that is a clear risk. Okay. So suddenly the family's largest asset, which you have been like very patiently as an entrepreneur or promoter, growing it for so many years with hard work, blood, sweat, and hard work, right? That becomes illiquid. Okay. So this week, the third activity and the document is that read the transmission clause in your articles of association. Actually, most promoters have never have, I think so. Okay. So just have a read at it and very specifically write the transmission runs through the articles and board resolution. There is table F, regulations 23 to 27, and regulations 25 is something that you can actually look into. Okay, so this is the third different activity that you can look at, since we are all holding private shares as entrepreneurs and business owners, right? The fourth one is quite it's an irony, right? Where you're generating a lot of wealth, and to generate that wealth, you also kind of end up creating multiple different liabilities across banks, NBFCs, loan against mutual funds, joint loans, or multiple different stuff like that. And from a company point of view, there are GST, TDS, salaries, debt obligations, multiple different stuff like that. Almost none of the assets that you have created, right, they come knocking at your door if something happens. None of the assets. But the liabilities, they never stop. Like time and tide, they never stop for anyone, anybody, or anyone else. Okay. They just keep continuing. They just keep kind of grinding it. If something happens to you, the family is liable. They need to take care of whatnot. So more than the asset is equally important. There are like four key things that the family needs to know. Um, what have we built? Where is it? Um, what do we need? What are the liabilities? Okay, and whom to call? The four different things that the family needs to do. What have we built so that that could come into structure for these liabilities if something happens? Where is it? A clear map, and then what are the liabilities? And then number four, whom to call? Okay, so that's the four thing that we need to do. And the first 90 days are like very crucial when in terms of an untoward incident or mishap, right? It's extremely crucial. But everything will continue. The financial organization will continue in its own pace. Everything will continue, but the family will get stuck if not for proper planning. So this week, write down what the family must pay in the first 30 days and where the cash will come from. Very simple things. Okay. Um, nothing morbid, but this is something that after that accident, we kind of realized it the hard way, and that is the thing we are trying to kind of give it to the audience over here. So number four is write down what the family must pay in the first 30 days and where the cash will come from. So that is number four. Um, Actually, a thought experiment, right? Where after that accident that happened, the first 90 days, what usually happens? Day 1 to 7, formalities. Day 8, lenders kind of invoke salaries and vendors fall due. Day 31 to 90, claims transmission request. Month 6 is where succession certificates, airship disputes, everything kind of is, and a lot of other assets are discovered by accident. But very unfortunately, the family actually needs all these answers on day one. Okay. So that's the reality. That's what we learned the very hard way. And in our particular process, we have, while speaking to the 600 plus folks, especially after COVID, we learned a lot of hard, like horror stories. We heard a lot of horror stories where somebody had built a very large portfolio of mutual funds but forgot to tell them about the portfolio number or whatnot. They did not tell them about the MFDs. MFDs never knew the families or whatnot, right? Multiple different stories. A term policy found out too late, or investments in digital gold. The father had done. The daughter, after 2 years of struggle, she only got to know about that later, and then another 1 year to claim that or whatnot, right? It's multiple different horror stories. So the family actually needs answers by day one. What we are as promoters, as entrepreneurs, we are running behind the wealth, and at some point in time, we actually kind of feel overwhelmed by that. And in that particular moment, we actually procrastinate a lot of these things, thinking that, okay, nothing will happen to us, only it will happen to the neighbors or whatnot, right? But anything can happen to anybody. We realized it on one drive from Bangalore to Coimbatore. So that's the reason we went through this thought experiment. I would urge that maybe like all of us can do that. Nothing morbid about it. We have a saying in our office that failing to prepare is actually preparing to fail. So this is preparation. So preparation always beats failure. So that is something that we go by. And the fifth one, the most kind of, I would say, the last but not the least, is that if the access just depends on you, it's not protection. Okay. Where just imagine, right, in a business scenario, all of us are promoters and entrepreneurs, where if we give all the bank account details, all the passwords, all the locker keys, and the front door access, the server access, everything like that to one person, we just can't imagine that kind of a scenario in a professional setup, right? Unfortunately, that is something that is happening in the family. Like everything, every asset, every liability, every due is actually taken care, and that particular person is actually the breadwinner, and they are also the promoter, and they also have certain things on the they are also liable, and they are also responsible for the certain things on the company side, which will also come back to affect the family. So the family first needs answers. So that access must be pre-authorized, everything must be prepared, there must be a perfect documentation or whatnot, right? So there must be a perfect map. The map should be updated, and that updated map should be available to somebody. So if the access just depends on you, it is not protection. So this week, the fifth task is that to pick one person, show them the single place where the map lives and how to open it. Okay, that's one thing. So just a summary: 7 days, 5 moves, one protected family is what we are looking at. 7, 5, 1. Okay. None of this requires a product actually. It will actually take one evening if you sit down with your family and get to do that, right? It will actually take one evening. You can do it on a piece of paper or an Excel sheet, or you can actually download our app also if you want to. You can check out SafeBox, where number one, list every personal guarantee, lender, limit, and expiry. Show one family member where it lives. Number two, pull the nomination status on every account and check it against your will, because that will versus legal liar, right, that we talked about is there. And number three, something that is hiding in your articles of association, the transmission clause, just have a look at it. Predominantly, I think that I think it'll be covered, but if not, do the necessary steps to make sure that it's correct. Number four, write down the first 30 days of liabilities and where the cash is going to come from, like we told you, right? Like that 6 months is something that your family has to go through that trouble just to sort everything out, but they need answers on day one. So bucket it, like first 30 days, what's 60 to 90, and then so on and so forth, right? That is number four. Number five, very key, pick that one person, show them where the family map, the above for one to four is the map. The fifth one is handing over that map, show them where the family map lives and how to open it. So these actually put together forms that five different things or documents where which will be like really useful for a promoter or an entrepreneur. So this is not an investment advice, not a legal advice, but from one entrepreneur to another, to multiple different folks, right? A promoter, we have been there. We have been there at a slightly younger age itself. We had this realization key as 40 plus year olds. We have done a lot of things correct, but all of this would have been affected in one black swan event, and our families wouldn't have known where to begin. So that's the reason we wanted to. I was really glad that I got invited to BLL to present this. Thank you so much, Garima and the team. And if you want a dynamic system to do that, right, this is completely free, no sales or nothing over here. Yeah, you can just kind of check out SafeBox also. This is something that we have been using for quite some time, and would love to get your feedback also on this. So thank you, team. I would love to answer any questions if you have.
Yeah, I was just wanting to know, you're on the BLL group. I can't see your number. So uh, you can once again put me on spotlight too so that you can see who I am. There we go.
Hi, Rishi.
You
Hi.
can connect with
Yes.
you one to one. Do you have
One
any
to
questions for him right now?
okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I want to ask one question.
Yes,
Yes,
certainly.
Richard. Yes.
I just wanted to know that, as you said in the beginning, that will can be written only on one paper and we can keep. Is that, I mean, legally okay, or we need to notarize or register
You
somewhere?
can, yeah, you can get the advice of a legal your legal counsel. That's something that is always better. But instead